So I want to open it up for any questions and let's have some conversation. So do you guys have any questions about this? Is Jesus the only way, right? And how do we respond to people when they feel like, well, there's other worldviews out there, and how do we know what's true? So I go back to that point where we talk about engaging the life of the mind. And it's not just, our faith isn't just a subjective thing, how we feel at any given moment. I mean, C.S. Lewis, he once said, there are days when I wake up and the whole Christian worldview looks implausible. But he said there were days when I was an atheist and my atheism looks implausible. And there are times in my life I'll wake up and I don't even know if I'm a Christian until I've had 6 cups of coffee, right? So our feelings, they come and go, which means that our faith actually has to be grounded on something deeper. And the beauty about the Christian worldview is there's evidence, and there are answers out there, and there's incredible scholarship there as well. And it's true, Jesus did say in John 14, verse 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And I would invite people who are in that space of like really wondering, okay, what about these other worldviews? Take some time, examine, explore, but then look at Jesus. There's something about Jesus that is different, where he's not just giving us a map, he's giving us himself. He didn't just say, I'll show you the way. He said, I am the way. A few months ago, Star Wars came out. My daughter, she wanted to go see it. I didn't just give her the keys and give her a map and good luck. You know, she can't drive yet. That would be a disaster. I said instead, okay, let's go. Get in the car. I'll drive you there. I'll take you there myself. I'll buy the tickets. We'll go in the movie theater. I am the way to Star Wars, right? It's not just, I will show you the way. And so what Jesus is offering is not just an intellectual engagement with the mind, but he's also offering himself. And I do believe the way of Jesus is compelling and it's beautiful in ways that we don't necessarily see in other religions, where it's based on his grace and not just what we have to do in order to earn that. Is doubt necessary, and is doubt expected in the life of every believer? There are people I know who, honestly, as far as I can tell, what they've shared with me, people who are close to me, have seemingly not gone through those dark nights of the soul, who haven't gone through those times of doubt. So I don't necessarily think every single person will experience that. I think some people just have a faith that whether it's very, very simple or it's very, very intellectual and robust, and it's like, it's solid and nothing's really gonna shake that. I think though, for most people, there are times, there's ebbs and flows, there's highs and lows. John Wesley, he once said that the higher the hill, the stronger the wind. The higher the life, so much stronger is kind of the attack of the enemy. And I think too that the higher we get in this pursuit of deeper faith, there's gonna be, the winds will blow. And sometimes those winds can be opposition or attack, or sometimes it can be doubt as well. I also believe, as we talked about earlier, that sometimes our doubt is a reflection of a deeper faith. Remember, we used the example of, if I believe in the goodness of God, the suffering that's in the world is gonna really traumatize me at a deeper level. It's Psalm 73, truly God is good, but as for me, my feet almost slipped. So I don't know what the percentages would be. I do think there's probably a small percentage that genuinely don't go through times of doubt, but I think the majority of people do. And again, it's why Jude 22 says, show mercy when people go through times of doubt. Not if, but when, because in many ways, I think it's a normal process, part of the process as we pursue Jesus. Yeah, such a good question. Our actions, we perform them because we're actually hiding some doubts that we have and we don't know what to do with it. And we think if we keep busy, that we don't have to address it. Having a performance mentality, we're trying to be perceived as being more spiritual than we actually are, or trying to earn God's favor. And you're right, sometimes doubt can creep into those spaces. I think one way that doubt can is because we quickly realize that we aren't able to do all these things, that we aren't sufficient, that we need help and we need God's grace. And that can lead to a self-doubt. And we wonder, wow, I thought I was this way, and I'm actually not. Like Paul spoke about this in Romans. He said, "Oh, wretched man that I am, who can deliver me from the body of this death?" Right? It's like every New Year's resolution. You make a resolution, the spirit is willing, but the donuts are sweet, right? And that can create its own set of doubt. And that is why, again, it's that word, show mercy. Show mercy. I keep coming back to it. Because Jesus is there for us. He's the physician that's tending our broken bone. In our brokenness, in our flaws, in our doubts, in our self-righteousness, in our performance mentality. And he's there to put us back together. But we just have to admit that. We have to acknowledge that, I don't have this figured out. Lord, I need your grace. And that's why I love the very next passage in Romans, where Paul, after saying, "Oh, wretched man that I am," very next passage, Romans 8:1, "There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Jesus." I mean, that's the good news. And that'll increase our faith. Why is there so much suffering and pain in the world? And what's unique about that question is your friend and people in our life who ask that question, we ask it ourselves. We're not the only ones. It's actually found in the Bible. The people who first were asking that question helped write the Bible. It's David talked about this. My God, why have you forsaken me? Or the book of Job, an entire book around this very topic, or Lamentations, right? So what I love about the Bible is it actually kind of gives voice to some of these questions, and it's very honest, it's very authentic, and it's not like easily scripted, all the answers, and easily memorized. You have to kind of dig through it and try and understand what is the heart of God. When it comes to that specific topic of why is there evil and suffering, people have tried for thousands of years in the rabbinic tradition, in the Christian tradition, scholars and philosophers to this day at this institution as well. And there's so many different ways of grappling with it and tackling it. But for me, I just come down to what I see in Revelation, that a day is coming when old things will pass away and all things will be made new. He's going to wipe away every tear from our eye. A number of years ago, I had a chance to go to the Vatican, just doing the touristy thing, and they have this museum there, and they have these tapestries. And what's unique about these tapestries, they're from the Renaissance era. On one side, it's beautiful, and it's like a piece of art, and it's depicting some scene. But if you look on the back side of a tapestry, it's all these tangled, knotted, mangled threads. So on one side, it's really beautiful and compelling. On the other side, it's really messy, and you're wondering, how is this art, right? And I think in some sense, we're living on that side of the tapestry right now, the tangled thread side. And we look, at violence and cruelty to animals, or trafficking, or wars, disease, and we have questions. God, why? But someday, Paul said, right now we see through a glass dimly, the tangled threads, but someday we will see face to face. And I think heaven will, in some sense, be that movement from the tangled threads to, oh, here's what you've been up to all along. No more pain, no more fear, no more injustice, no more anxiety, no more depression, no more cruelty to animals. God, you have made all things new. I think that's our hope. And I think we can cling to that. And until that day, we can ask questions like, what would it look like for me to be a part of this redemptive process in those places of the world that keep me up at night? The injustice that I see that really troubles me, what would it look like for me to be the answer there? Lord, to be your hands and feet in a world that's suffering and hurting and searching for the answer. What are some resources for someone who's going through a time of loss? It's interesting. I was reading in Psalms recently when David lost his child. So he had that relationship with Bathsheba, and then a child was born and died as a result of that. And David then, he began to write songs about this. I think the book of Psalms, honestly, is the most beautiful, poignant, relevant place to be. Because again, David's not trying to mask his grief, or there's no cat posters there. It's just like very real. And I think it can give voice to lament and our pain. Another book I've really enjoyed is Walking with God Through Pain and Suffering by Tim Keller. It's excellent. Yeah. And what I love about that book is he kind of lays out, in philosophical circles, they call it a theodicy, where how do you really justify the existence of evil in light of a good, omniscient, omnibenevolent God? How does that make sense? It's this term theodicy. So he lays these out, but then he gets very personal, very practical as well. So I highly recommend that book, that resource. So thank you guys so much. It was so fun to spend this time with you, and may God just give you strength and peace and joy. May he strengthen your faith as you pursue him and chase after him. And may Jesus just be the center of all that we do. And even when our faith fails, he never will. Thank you guys so much.